currently in one of the most beautiful places in all of America, in my opinion. I'm up in Alaska on Prince of Wales Island, black bear hunting, spot and stock, with only my bow. Now the coolest part of this trip, I've decided to do the whole thing out of a tent and kayak. This is my mode of transportation, and it's perfect. The reason why, you can sneak up and stalk these bears on the water, get within 200 yards, then make your stop. It's silent and virtually needs hardly any water. You've got 6 inches of water, you're golden in the kayak. And the best part about camping, I can hunt till it gets low light when the bear are most active. If you're taking a big boat across every day, well, you're missing the best times of hunting. So I've got this little kayak out in the wilderness and absolutely enjoying every moment of it. Now, I just hope the big black bears are out of their den and out of hibernation and waiting for me. Welcome to my Alaskan adventure. My plan here is to hunt Prince of Wales Island. I'm all on my own, been dropped off with Ryan McHugh, has a perfect little camp set up for me, and a kayak. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of go around the shores, hunt these grass flats right in the near vicinity. Can't go real far in my kayak, so what I have here is what I'll be hunting. I'm gonna watch where the low tides are, kind of really hit it hard when it's on low tide, and just paddle around. If it's daylight, I'll be out there. So I'm gonna pack up my gear and see what kind of adventure I'm really in for. Well, hunting Alaska by kayak definitely has its challenges, but it also has its perks. You're able to hit shore a lot quieter and make a lot more ground. You're able to cover areas that you would never be able to cover in a big boat. And the best part is, you don't have to deal with the tides and worry about your boat being stuck out in the open or too far out. Your kayak, you can always pull up to shore and have easy access in and out. Now these big black bears are looking for nice green grass when they come out of their dens. So you can focus on those areas, but you know what? When the tide is out, these shores are also covered with tons of crabs and things for them to eat. So don't overlook that either. I'm gonna keep glassing around and hopefully spot a big bear. The other thing I was hoping the kayak would do is just make for all around more peaceful hunting. You're out in Alaska, out in the beautiful outdoors, and I wouldn't be listening to a loud motor or making noise. I could simply go from bay to bay, just nicely sitting back, glassing, and enjoying a week out away from everything. There are no cell phones, there are no other people. I did bring a sat phone in case I ran into an emergency, but this was gonna be a pure hunting situation. Past calling bear, I've hunted with Jason Blair, and we've done everything with flagging tape. We brought a big boar right in. We used a small little homemade call, brought another nice boar in. But this year, well, I decided to use one of my dad's old Woodridge calls. Now this call was probably 30 years old, but when I was at home at my parents', I went through all our predator calls, and this was the sound I liked the best.
Stay tuned to find out if Melissa made the right call on her predator call when Winchester's Deadly Passion returns. Winchester's Deadly Passion is presented by Winchester, the American legend. Matthews, Catch Us If You Can. Cuddyback Digital. Bog Pod, versatility defined. Easton, expect the best. Winchester Repeating Arms. And Hunter Safety System.
When it comes to hunting some of the most beautiful places in the world, well, the one place I always think of, that is Alaska. Now, I've been lucky enough to come here in the past, and I've had absolutely incredible luck. A lot of these big black bears are coming down out of hibernation, and they are looking for something to eat. Now, we've had luck calling them in, and that was exactly what I was planning to do this year. The only thing, well, I decided to change it up a bit. In the past, we had always gone on a bigger boat and really went bay to bay, looking at the shores, glassing for bear, and then making our stop. Well, this time I was getting dropped off in the middle of a remote location on Prince of Wales Island, all by myself with just a kayak, a tent, my bow, and a predator call. So I was pretty excited. Well, so far this has been one of the most beautiful locations. However, no bear. And sometimes that's just the way it goes, but I'm up here in the middle of Alaska and you couldn't peel me out of here for nothing. Even without a bear, this has been one of the most beautiful sits I've ever been a part of, and well, someday there'll be bear, just probably not tonight. Now, on the first couple of days, a lot of time was just spent getting to know the area, glassing, and trying to figure out where these bear were coming. Now, one thing, when you do spot a bear, usually you don't have a lot of time. These bear will maybe stay on the beach for 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. And really, it just depends on when you spot them and when they came out. They may have already been out there. So on every bear I see, I try to act as quickly as possible. The number one thing you need to know, which way is the wind blowing? A bear's best sense is their sense of smell. So you want to make sure you get that factor in your favor. Also, what it does by putting the wind in your favor, well, they're not going to hear as well. And these beaches, they are not conducive to stalking. It is super difficult. Now, one place I did find was a really nice island that I could land my kayak, sit on shore, and I basically had a 360-degree view all around me. When the time was right, as far as I was concerned, this was one of the best places to be. Now, it wasn't long and I spotted what looked to be a huge black bear out on a grass flat. Now, he was feeding down the flat and I decided I need to make a move quickly. So I got in my kayak, got out on shore, and started making my stalk. Once I got up to a little mound where I could actually see, I started blowing that predator call. I have no idea how I just missed him. I brought that bear in from 400 yards, got him to 46 yards, and missed him by a foot. I don't know. I don't think I ever miss a target by a foot. He just spooked this way and ran right back into the woods. That is frustrating, seeing a bear come from that far. He was huge. I was shaking so bad.
Tip of the week is brought to you by Can-Am. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all.
The one thing all this incredible footage has in common is it was all filmed through a Swarovski spotting scope. The crystal clear clarity of the glass is just like a high-end lens for your camera. Once you pair your spotting scope with the Swarovski adapter, your DSLR simply attaches and you can capture absolutely stunning video and photos. This can be a huge advantage if you just love filming wildlife, but it can also be helpful if you're in the field and you want to show someone back at camp what you saw. It's a great way to utilize a tool that you may already have along with you on your hunts and get even more out of your spotting scope.
Welcome back to Alaska, where the good news is Melissa's old predator call is working great. The bad news is she missed on her first encounter. Never one to dwell on failure, she collects herself and forges on.
One thing I really enjoy about do-it-yourself hunts is the fact that you can hunt at your own pace. If you want to stay out there from morning all the way through to night, you can. But on this hunt, I was out just really enjoying every part of it. To be honest with you, from my hunt location, there was probably just as good of a chance that I could spot a bear as out in my kayak. So I'd go back, have some food, relax, go back out looking for bear, and it was really one of the most enjoyable hunts you could imagine. On this trip, I'm hunting out of a kayak. Now that's a lot of great things, but the one thing it does mean, you've got to keep gear to an absolute minimum. Now this bag will save my stuff whether I tip the kayak or it rains hard, which could happen at any time. Now what I've got in here, first thing, I've got a sat phone. If things get bad, I can call Ryan and have someone fly in and get me, and I don't have to end up in deep trouble. I also keep an extra set of rain gear. You never know if your stuff gets wet, you might need to change. This is almost like a small survivor pack. I've got heat blankets, first aid kits, all sorts of things that I might need if I get stranded for a while, and this is also waterproof. And lastly, well, it's pretty tough for me to go anywhere without my digital camera as well. So I'm gonna do my best to keep everything dry, even if that kayak should flip, and I should be out after the bear. A lot of my day was spent glassing and just looking for bear on the shores. Then once I found a bear, then I would go do my stuff. Now I found a bear that was basically just sitting out in the middle of a green opening. I decided I'm gonna go after him. And even though I'd been having some very good luck calling, well, this bear, for whatever reason, was not interested in my call. He wanted nothing to do with it. He just continued on down the shore. Now, I don't know if he'd had a bad experience with it. Maybe he was a vegetarian, I don't know. But he wasn't interested in my call. There was just no other place that I could get to with the right wind to try to get inside an archery range. So my cameraman, he had the tag as well. So I gave him the backup gun that we had along, and he made a great shot on this bear. Now this was one giant black bear. We got one down, the easy one. And we were in such a hurry, the tide coming in, we didn't get to film much after the bear kill, but it was really pretty exciting, and now we had one bear down. The only thing we had left, well, it was time to try to get me a big bear with my bow. When it comes to bow hunting and broadheads, pass-through shots are critical, and to obtain the most penetration possible, I've chosen the Rage Hypodermic. This compact design is extremely tough and gets more penetration than any other Rage broadhead. The solid steel ferrule has a brand new hybrid tip design, allowing the hypodermic to have the aerodynamics and accuracy of a leading edge blade coupled with the bone-crushing performance of the chisel tip. It also comes with a shock collar to ensure proper blade retention for the razor-sharp stainless steel blades. When penetration is key, the Rage Hypodermic is your perfect medicine.
Winchester's Deadly Passion is presented by Swarovski Optic, North American Hunting Club, Rage Broadheads, Golden Triangle Whitetail, Can-Am ATVs and side-by-side vehicles. Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology. Apply it, dry it, and go hunt. And M&P, Advanced by Design. Closed captioning is brought to you by the 4-in-1 Woodsman from Zippo Outdoor. This week, Melissa is on arguably one of her favorite trips ever. A do-it-yourself bear hunt on an island in Alaska.
Well, the one nice thing about bear camp, you don't have to get up super early. And being near Ketchikan, one of the rainiest cities in America, and out on Prince of Wales Island, I haven't hardly seen a speck of rain so far. Almost every morning I come out, and it's been beautiful, so keeping my fingers crossed that hopefully I get some nice weather, and the bear might like it too. It was getting close to that perfect time. The tide was low, the light was down, and the bear, well, they were all over. Now we decided to try to check another bay, went over in my kayak as the sun was starting to set, and there was a nice big bear out probably 200 yards. Now from where I could see him, it wasn't far at all, and I could hit the shore and get to a point I wanted to glass. When I looked at the shoreline, there was a big fallen down log that I thought would be perfect cover. If I could get to that point, it'd give me just enough that I could still see that bear, try calling him in, and if I could bring him in close, I'd have just a little bit of cover to hide behind. I made it right to the tree where I wanted to get, and that bear's still up there. The shore is just too noisy, so I'm gonna try to use this busted down tree as cover and hit the predator call. I don't know if it'll work. It's worked on some, not all of them. Now I knew I had his attention, so I had found that the more aggressive you can get calling, the better off you are. I started calling and calling and calling. The more I blew, the more he came. He was headed right in my direction, and I knew I had a dominant boar in my hand. Can you see him? Now that is some intense hunting. I have never been so out of breath trying to draw my bow in my entire life. The more I blew that predator call, the harder he was coming. It came down to at what point can you stop blowing and actually pick up your bow and get drawn. I almost let it get too far. He was for sure within inside 20 yards. And to have to take a throat shot that close, well, I'll tell you what, that gets your heart beating right there. Right, come up. Right here's where I hit him. He was 18 yards and closing. This bear was on a mission. And now I've got one easy blood trail to follow. Now that's the kind of blood trail Rage makes. Almost a foot wide. And you know what? I think I can see the bear right up here. What a beautiful bear. This was one of the most intense hunts I have ever been a part of. I didn't want to walk on the rocks. It was super noisy, so I decided to just set up at a tree and try bringing this bear to me. And boy, did it work. The more I called, the more he came. When you're predator calling, these guys don't turn. They're looking at you for lunch. And that's what this big boy wanted. I had to put a shot right in the throat, and at a close range like this, it's an easy shot to make, but check out the size of this head and these paws. Now that is one big black bear. This is what amazing hunting is all about, bringing the game right into me.